for shame.
You're experiencing the great fortune and the great hazard of living in one of those tectonic shifts in American society and politics.
What I see are so many people now, teachers and truckers, nurses, just running in place. Wages are flat. Healthcare costs are eating up your paychecks. 80% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. 40 million of us with student loan debt. That promise of America is broken in too many places.
Trump thinks this is such a wonderful economy, and it is for some. But for the bottom half of American workers, fully 50% of American workers literally have not had a any significant raise in the last 25 years. You think about that.
For so many Americans, can I get a job, keep a job, pay the bills by the end of the month, retire with dignity? For so many families, can I get my relative off of his opioid addiction? For our students, can I pay off those student loans?
It's now the case that we are crushing an entire generation with student loan debt. 70% of young people who graduate from state universities have to borrow money to make it through. There is so much student loan debt outstanding right now that it's starting to affect every other part of the economy. So young people are not buying homes at the ages we would expect them to, not able to start small businesses because they are burdened with student loan debt. Can't move back to a small town, right? Where the wages may be lower because you've got to hit that student loan debt burden every single time. So
the reason we've had political stability and social stability in the United States of America and economic stability is because America has had the biggest and the most growing and optimistic middle class in the world. But what's happened now? This gigantic disparity in wealth in America today is not only wrong, it allows demagogues to come along and say the reason you're not making it is because of the other. Yep. That immigrants coming and taking your job, or that African Americans. That's what every show around the country and around the world has done that. And so folks, we got to deal with it, and we can deal with it, because I think the vast majority of Americans agree with us. But we have to listen to them, man. We have to let them know we hear them. We have to let them know we understand what they're facing.
We are so divided today that we can't get anything done. We can't fix the economy, we can't fix the healthcare system, we can't fix the environment, we can't fix the criminal justice system because we're so divided.
And so we have stupid all over this country. and we have laws that are designed to make people suffer, strip people of dignity, and then we end up paying more for it because our jails are our biggest mental health institutions in this country. Our jails is where we treat addiction. Our jails are where we treat poverty. We have a nation that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent.
This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Half of the workers are living paycheck to paycheck. Do you know what that means? What it means if you're living, and I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. It means that if your car breaks down, you can't get to work. If you can't get to work, you get fired. If you get fired, you cannot take care of your kids. Do you know why there is so much stress in America? It is precisely for reasons like that. People are struggling every single day, living under enormous stress. And in the worst cases, it's not only stress, it is despair. We are living in a moment in American history where for the first time in a very long time, if ever, life expectancy is going down for the third straight years.
I mean, are you kidding me? Right? That's what's happening now. They did it in the 80s, they did it with President Bush twice, and they just did it again. This supply side trickle-down economics is not working. I mean, it's like, how's it working out for us? Right? Cutting taxes for the top 1% does not provide mental health care for people who need it. It doesn't build schools, it doesn't build roads, it doesn't build bridges, it doesn't educate our kids, it doesn't make college more affordable. This is a scam.
Now, Donald Trump, like it or not, he's our president today because he got a lot of the problems right. He went around to your communities and other communities and he said there are massive problems. And then the Democratic response in 2016 was, no, actually, things are great. And we lost. We have to solve the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. He got the problems right, but his solutions are the exact opposite of what we need. His solutions were build a wall, turn the clock backwards, bring the jobs back, and we need to do the exact opposite. We need to turn the clock forward. We need to accelerate and evolve both our economy and society.
Let's talk about the trade policy that is resulting in direct harm to working families in America. Let's talk about a policy that is about putting babies in cages and separating children from their parents in the name of border security, when in fact what it is a human rights abuse being committed by the United States government. Let's talk about a failure to recognize, and our farmers and everybody here knows it, climate change is real, it is a crisis, it is caused by human behaviors which can be changed without much change to our lifestyle. It represents an existential threat to who we are as human beings, and we can do something about it.
People are suffering. It is droughts, it is wildfires, it is flooding, it is storms, it is violent storms. And we know, the scientists have told us, that it's going far faster than we know. And every time the sea level rises, every time there's flooding in places like Florida or in Virginia, governors are saying, this isn't good. What's happening? Well, we know what's happening. Stop denying what's happening.
We have to address climate change. And we need to take bold steps. I believe that the Green New Deal has been great in building up a conversation about making it elevated as it should be. I think, though, that there are any number of steps you can take. And we read the scientists and say, we got to be carbon neutral by 2050. No, we can be carbon neutral before that. We need to regain our lead and our role in the world. We cannot do this alone. We got to get rid of 40 billion tons of CO2 a year. China produces twice as much as we do. We could the first day turn around and say, not even the auto companies wanted the CAFE standards repealed. You need to bring together both industry, environmentalists, scientists, utilities, and say, let's go short-term plans, let's go long-term plans, what it's going to take to become carbon neutral.
We can do this and be healthier. We can do it and be richer. We can create net millions of good-paying jobs for people by doing this. We should not be afraid. We have to do this. The oil companies don't want us to do it.
If we do not convene the rest of the world, where 194 of the 196 nations of the Paris Accord have not met even close, especially China and Russia and other nations, their commitments, we cannot disarm that catastrophic bomb before it explodes on us.
The decisions we make right now are going to decide not just what the next 4 years are going to look like, but the next 40. And I believe it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we win not just an election, but an era.
Because we have to reclaim this democracy. If we're unwilling to reclaim this democracy, then nothing that you believe in is possible. Because the truth is, the way Washington works, the moneyed interests, the lobbyists, the powerful, they get whatever they want whenever they want. It's just the way it works. They write legislation in the dead of night because they can. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars on campaign ads with no disclosure. They actually control the system.
We need to attack corruption head on. Call it out for what it is and go straight at it.
I think for all of us, we have to decide what we're willing to do. I think this country is in a place where President Trump has spread a darkness and a worry and an anxiety that's real. He's dividing the country on every socioeconomic line, every religious line, every racial line. And the truth is, for a lot of people, they feel deeply insecure and anxious about the future.
Now, when you add it all up, everything I've just said, think about all the people in your family, think about all the people in your life who've been waiting for leaders to actually talk about those things, the things that they feel every single day. Imagine if we could win back All those labor union members who stayed home or voted for Trump, we could if we speak to them and we're there for them. Imagine we win back all those Democrats who stayed home because they didn't think it would make a difference. All those progressives who didn't hear change in our vision. We can do it.
From climbing out of the Depression to winning World War II, from tackling civil rights to sending a man to the moon. It has been our party that takes on the toughest challenges, chooses the hard right over the easy wrong, that chooses courage over convenience. Whether it's healthcare or climate change or the economy, we fight for what we believe in, not for what the polling tells us.
This is a magnificent country. We have every advantage any nation could possibly want to have, except we don't have the right leadership. We need a leader who will bring us together, who will get us universal health care, who will combat climate change, who will fix our broken immigration system, who will invest in communities that are left behind, who will protect our citizens in wherever they are in their communities. And we need leaders who will pass laws like the Equality Act, who before they sit down in the chair in the Oval Office, they overturn these bans on transgender service in the military and other things that this administration has done to target some of our most vulnerable citizens.
We can do better than that. We can have comprehensive immigration reform that ensures that we have a secure border, because any nation anywhere in the world needs to have a secure border. But we can do that without making the kind of choice that the president wants us to make, to be incompassionate and inhumane.
We got to change the rules in this economy. We need some balance back in this economy. We need some fairness. People just want a level playing field, just a chance to build something.
Let's go into 2020 with optimism in our hearts, knowing we are better than this, knowing that we are prepared to fight for the best of who we are, knowing our strength, knowing our potential, knowing that we can see, because we have the ability to see what we can be, unburdened by what we have recently been.
You can't control what life throws at you, but you can control whether it makes you better or worse, whether it makes you stronger or weaker. And we've got that choice right now, whether we're going to rise up to this challenge that we all face.
It's dawning on me, as it's probably dawning on you, that there is a coalition out in our country that is ready to come together. Where the economy's not working for them, the healthcare system's not working for them, we're tired of the climate issues not being addressed, the criminal justice system is not working for them.
How are we going to be not just against him, but also give voters a reason to be with us? How are we going to preserve this 243-year experiment called representative democracy so we can actually hand off a better country to our kids and grandkids than what we inherited? We can do it. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe that we could do it.
How you reach out to people, how you go beyond the hyper-partisanship, and how you connect with people around the issues that they care about, how you listen to their concerns, and you bring forward actual solutions.
Time for Democrats to win, I think we have to propose policies that are attractive to a large swath of Americans. And we can do that, you know, on healthcare or on climate or on the economy. Sometimes we choose not to do that because we're more interested in rallying the base than we are in reaching people beyond that base. But I think in order for us to create enduring change in this country that will last, we need to engage a whole bunch of people that aren't just Democrats. You can't solve climate 2 years at a time, like solve it for 2 years and then have some other folks come in and rip it out for 2 years. Healthcare you can't do 2 years at a time. Education I know you certainly can't do 2 years at a time. And we've been living in a world as if that were the way you could govern.
We have to rebuild the middle class this time, but we have to bring everybody along, regardless of the race, gender, ethnicity, religion, who they love, where they live, whether they have disabilities. Everybody has to be brought along. There's no reason why we can't. Everybody.
The truth of the matter is,
that the same spiritual malfunction, the fear and the exclusion of the other, is as alive and well in America today as it has ever been. And so those of us who are the beneficiaries of generations who came before, those of us who are beneficiaries of those who in defiance said, I will not apologize for who I am. Those of us who are beneficiaries of those who in defiance said, I will celebrate who I am. Those of us who are even the beneficiaries of those who said those things as they took their last dying breaths. Let us remember that we need to continue the legacy of those who take a stand.
Brothers and sisters, we are in this struggle together.
Yeah!
Whether we are black or white or Latino, whether we are Native American, whether we are Asian American, whether we are gay or straight, whether we are native born or immigrant, whether we are male or female. In this moment in American history, we stand together. Amen. And we fight for justice for all.
Do not allow them to divide us or to define us by our differences. To whom we pray, who it is we love, where we live. None of that stuff matters as much as the fact that we are Americans. Let's decide from this moment going forward, before we are anything else, we are Americans first. You with me on that?
Look, I think America is a collection of ideas as much as a place. It's as much about dreams as it is about memories. And it's about families.
So I think it is very important that we make the point there is so much more that unifies us that divides us.
I also believe that the values that we have as people, no matter what the color of our skin is or where we come from, are stronger than the division of this administration.
America has always been the beacon of light and hope. We have always been a leader around the globe for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard.
Come summer 2020, we are all going to be on the same team, behind the same nominee, whoever she or he may be. We're going to defeat Donald Trump.
Don't take pictures, because that's obviously the fun part. That's what democracy's all about.